In the quiet heart of Ogondil, a village surrounded by rolling green hills and the whispers of ancient trees, two sisters were born beneath the same moonlight, but under very different stars. The elder was named Amara, meaning grace, and she wore her name like a cloak. From the moment she could walk, her presence brought calmness, her laughter softened hearts, her hands healed wounds, and her words soothed even the most bitter quarrels. Then there was Zina, the younger one, whose name meant beautiful, and beautiful she was. Her skin shimmered like morning dew, and her eyes were as sharp as a hawk's. But beauty, as they say in Ogondil, can be either a blessing or a blade. Their mother, Mama Ifeoma, was a seamstress of modest means, who raised her girls alone after their father disappeared during a hunt and never returned. She taught them to value each other, saying, "You may be two branches, but you grow from the same root. Break one, and the other feels it. But even roots can rot if envy seeps deep enough." From their earliest days, Zina watched Amara receive praises she silently believed were hers. Amara always returned home from school with commendations, while Zina's efforts barely stirred a mention. At festivals, suitors flocked to Amara like bees to honey, even when Zina wore the brighter dress. "Amara this, Amara that," Zina would mutter at night, staring at the thatched ceiling, her fist clenched beneath her wrapper. Even the moon waits for her smile. What about me? Am I invisible? But no one heard. Amara, too kind to see malice in anyone, especially her sister, always gave Zina the choicest portion of yam, the warmest blanket, and the last word. Years passed, and Amara bloomed into a young woman whose reputation stretched beyond the village. Her voice during morning worship stirred elders to tears. Her weaving, sold at the weekly market, was in such demand that buyers came before dawn. Zina, though not without talent, became known more for her temper and sharp tongue than for any charm or skill. Then, one day, a stranger arrived in Ogondil. Chike was tall, broad-shouldered, and carried himself like a man who had seen the world. His garments, though simple, were finely made, and his eyes held the weight of ambition. Rumor had it he was from the capital, searching for a bride who would bring both beauty and dignity to his household. Zina saw him first, at the well. "You must be new here," she said, fluttering her lashes. "That's obvious." Chike smiled politely. "Let me show you around," she offered, placing a hand gently on his arm. But Chike's gaze drifted past her shoulder. He had spotted Amara returning from the farm, her clothes dusty, her headscarf slightly askew, but her smile as radiant as a sunrise. That was the beginning. Within weeks, Chike and Amara were the talk of the village. He visited Mama Ifeoma's compound often, helping with repairs, bringing gifts, and walking Amara to the riverbank every evening. Zina watched from the shadows, her smile growing thinner each day. One night, Zina approached her sister. "Are you sure about him? Men from the city can be tricky." Amara giggled. "Chike is different. He listens. He respects Mama. And he treats me like I matter. Just be careful. Not everything that glitters is gold." But Amara's heart was already caught. The proposal came shortly after harvest season. A grand celebration was held, and the entire village danced under the stars. Zina smiled, laughed, even led the bright songs, but inside, a storm brewed. It began with small things. Amara's favorite dress disappeared. Her woven baskets were mysteriously destroyed. Gossip began to swirl, whispers that Amara had been with another man before Chike. That her smiles were a cover for secrets. That she used charms to seduce him. Zina was the source of it all. One evening, while Amara was preparing dinner, Zina approached Chike behind the compound. "You deserve someone who truly sees you," she said softly. What do you mean? I mean, someone who doesn't use her body to trap you. Chike frowned. Speak clearly. Zina lowered her eyes. Amara was with a trader from Akio months before she met you. Ask around. I didn't want to say anything, but you deserve honesty. Doubt began to seep into Chike's heart. Over the following weeks, Zina intensified her campaign, dropping hints, planting suspicions, even forging a letter she claimed she found among Amara's things. Then came the final blow. Zina tearfully told Chike she was carrying his child. It was one night, she whispered, trembling. You were drunk. I never meant for this to happen. Chike was furious, at himself, at the betrayal he believed happened, at the entire situation. He confronted Amara. Why didn't you tell me about the trader? Why hide your past? Amara stared, confused. What trader? Chike, what are you talking about? But Chike was already spiraling. Within days, he broke the engagement. Amara, stunned and heartbroken, packed her belongings without protest. Zina moved into Chike's compound shortly after, belly bound with cloth to mimic pregnancy. The villagers were divided. Some believed the rumors, others doubted. But no one spoke publicly. Mama Ifeoma fell ill from grief, dying within months of the scandal. Amara was alone. On the night she left the village, rain poured like a curse. Her wrapper was soaked through, her feet caked in mud, but she walked steadily, head held high. She passed the old shrine at the edge of Ogondil and paused. Spirit of my mothers, if you still walk with me, do not let my kindness become a curse. She stepped onto the forest path, vanishing into the dark. Miles away, under the faint glow of a storm lantern, a man on horseback spotted her slumped against a tree. He dismounted and approached cautiously. Sister, are you hurt? Amara opened her eyes, her lips trembling. I have no home. He extended his hand. Then perhaps, if you're willing, you can help me build mine. And thus began the second chapter of her life. But in Ogondil, Zina's triumph was turning sour. Chike grew distant. His touch, once tender, was now cold. And each passing week brought no signs of a real pregnancy. Zina stared at her belly in the mirror, pressing it inward with growing panic. She thought she had won. But the gods were not done. The storm that had swallowed Amara's world became the soil where something new would grow. She awoke to the scent of warm millet porridge and herbs, her head resting on a soft mat inside a thatched hut. A rooster crowed outside, and the rhythmic clang of a blacksmith's hammer echoed from a distance. Her fingers ached, her body was sore, but she was alive. The man who had rescued her returned soon after, carrying a carved wooden stool and a gourd of water. You're awake, he said, smiling. Good. You've been asleep for 2 days. I was beginning to worry. Where am I? Amara asked, her voice brittle. Ugondu. My village. My name is Obina. I found you at the edge of our forest. You were barely breathing. Amara sat up slowly. Thank you, Obina. You saved me. Maybe, he said with a gentle shrug. But I have a feeling you are the one who has much to save. Obina was a widowed craftsman who made musical instruments and wooden sculptures revered in markets far beyond Uganda. He lived alone, childless but not bitter, warm without expectation. And unlike Chike, he never asked about Amara's past. Amara offered to sweep his home, cook his meals, help with sales at the market. She insisted on contributing, though her heart was still bruised. In time, the villagers came to know her as kind and hardworking, especially the children, who gathered around her for stories after evening meals. One day, an elder named Mama Ozo approached Obina at the market. That girl you brought into your home, she has the spirit of a mother. You should make her your wife. Obina chuckled. She's healing. I will not rush her. But soon enough, affection blossomed. Quietly. Without the fireworks of Ogondil, but with the steady glow of trust. Obina proposed not with a ring or fist, but with a carved flute shaped like a dove. Play this, he said, handing it to her beneath the moonlight, if you wish to make music with me for the rest of our lives. Amara smiled, tears sliding down her cheeks. She raised the flute to her lips and blew gently. A soft, clear note rose into the air. The forest listened. The stars blinked their approval. Back in Ogondil, things were unraveling. Zina's fake pregnancy had bought her only so much time. Chaik, once consumed by guilt and desire, was now drowning in doubt. He watched her closely. Noticed how she avoided the midwives. How she padded her belly with strange raps. And how her eyes darted whenever someone mentioned children. The breaking point came when Chaik's mother, Mama Ijeoma, insisted on taking Zina to the local healer for prenatal rituals. It is our family's tradition, she said sternly. Zina tried to delay. Made excuses. But Mama Ijeoma was resolute. When they finally arrived at the healer's hut, Zina's life fell apart like a basket in the rain. The healer frowned as she examined Zina. There is no child. In fact, there may never be. What? Zina's voice cracked. You have a condition. Scar tissue. Damage to your womb. Perhaps from herbs or charms. You cannot conceive. Zina collapsed into the sand, her screams echoing across the hills. Chaik was furious, not only at the deception but at himself for believing her. The shame rippled through the village. Some laughed. Others pitied. But no one defended her. He packed her belongings in silence. Go back to your sister, he said coldly. If she'll have you. Zina wondered. Days turned into weeks. She slept under trees, begged for food, her once gleaming beauty dulled by hardship. Children pointed. Women turned away. The same village that once whispered praise now spat judgment. Then, one dusty afternoon, with cracked lips and trembling hands, she arrived at a house in Ugondu, a small compound with neat gardens and the scent of fried plantain in the air. Amara stepped out, a child balanced on her hip, another tugging at her wrapper. Her eyes met Zina's. For a moment, time held its breath. Sister, Zina croaked, a smile forced beneath her desperation. I heard you were here. I came to visit. Amara said nothing. Her eyes took in the tattered clothes, the hollow cheeks, the familiar but now foreign face. Obina appeared at the doorway. Zina's smile wavered. Oh, this must be your husband. Still, Amara did not speak. She motioned for Obina to take the children inside. You left me, Zina said, her voice growing bold again. After everything. You just left. Amara folded her arms. You destroyed everything. My engagement. Momo's health. My peace. You lied about a child, and now you've come pretending it never happened. I was desperate. I love Chaik. He chose you. He always chose you. Everyone did. I just wanted to be seen. So you erased me to feel visible. Zina dropped to her knees. Please, Amara. I have no one. I'm hungry. I'm tired. Let me stay, just for a while. Amara's jaw tightened. For years, she had carried the burden of Zina's betrayal, the weight of unanswered questions, the pain of unprovoked malice. And now, the very hand that pushed her into exile begged for mercy. She looked down at her sister, the girl who once shared her blanket, who used to hold her hand during thunderstorms. And in that moment, Amara felt not hate, but a hollow sadness. You may sleep in the outer shed, she said softly. For 3 nights. But I will not welcome a serpent into my bed again. Zina wept. Thank you. Amara turned away. Inside the house, Obina held her gently. You did what many could not. Amara nodded, her heart heavy. Kindness is a choice, Obina. But trust must be earned. Outside, Zina stared at the moonlight. For once, it did not remind her of her sister. It reminded her of everything she had lost trying to steal what was never hers to begin with. 3 nights can feel like a lifetime when you sleep beside your regrets. Zina lay on the dusty mat in the outer shed, each creak of the wind whispering reminders of her choices. The rats that skittered across the roof gave her no peace. Neither did the memories. Chike's final glare. Mama Ifeoma's fading eyes on her deathbed. The coldness in Amara's voice. In Uganda, the mornings were full of singing birds and worms too. The laughter of children played like music across the courtyard. But Zina sat alone, wrapped in a ragged shawl, her stomach groaning louder than her shame. On the 3rd morning, Amara brought her a bowl of pap and akra, placing it silently beside her. Zina reached for it eagerly, but Amara remained still, watching. What do you want, Zina? Truly. Zina swallowed, not just the food, but her pride. I want a second chance. No. You want to escape the consequences. Zina flinched. I was young. I was hurt. I thought if I had what you had, I would finally feel whole. Amara's eyes softened, but her voice remained firm. And what do you have now, Zina? Silence. That day, Obina returned from the market and called Amara aside. The village council is holding a festival in 3 weeks. They want you to lead the story circle. Amara smiled. It would be an honor. As she began preparations, sewing garments and crafting stories for the children, Zina watched from the shadows. She helped with small tasks, uninvited but not pushed away, fetching water, gathering firewood, sweeping the compound. One night, as Amara and Obina shared palm wine under the stars, Zina sat quietly nearby, shelling groundnuts. Obina turned to her. You work hard. It's all I can offer now. Amara added gently, work cannot repay a debt of the heart, Zina. Zina looked down. I know. But I want to show you that I'm no longer the woman who betrayed her sister. The days passed. Slowly, Zina began to return to herself, not the envious version, but the younger girl Mama Ifeoma once braided hair for. She played with Amara's children. She sang while pounding yam. And though Amara kept her at arm's length, a warmth had started to thaw between them. Then came the day of the festival. The village square bloomed with color, dancers in beads and feathers, drummers pounding rhythms that echoed in the bones. Amara stood tall in her orange wrapper, her voice rising over the crowd as she told tales of justice and kindness, of selfish kings and humble farmers. The final story was her own, thinly veiled, but every ear knew its origin. She told of 2 stars born in the same sky, one that shone quietly, and one that burned bright but could not stand another's glow. She told of betrayal, exile, and renewal. As she ended, the crowd erupted in applause. Zina, standing behind a group of children, felt her throat tighten. She turned to leave, but Amara's voice stopped her. And some stars, she added, learn that they shine brighter when they stop chasing another's light. Zina looked back. Amara was smiling at her. After the festival, Zina helped clean the square. As they gathered the drums and mats, a woman approached her. You are Amara's sister, she asked. Zina hesitated. Yes. The woman nodded. I lost my sister to envy. She never apologized. You're lucky. Some wrongs have no road back. Zina carried that message like a stone in her chest. That evening, she packed her things. A borrowed wrapper. A small carved spoon Amara's child had gifted her. A bundle of plantain. Amara found her at the gate. You're leaving? I have to. I cannot live in your shadow, Amara. It is time I find my own light. Amara nodded. Where will you go? I don't know. But I want to build something. Help others. Maybe teach girls like me what not to do. Amara reached out and hugged her. For the first time in years, the embrace was real. Not duty. Not guilt. Just love. You are my sister, Zina. That will never change. But from now on, let us both walk in truth. As Zina walked down the path, past the shrine where Amara once begged the ancestors for help, she felt lighter. She didn't know what awaited her, but for the first time, she wasn't chasing anyone. She was chasing herself. And in the distance, far behind her, Amara stood with her family, whole, at peace, and still glowing. In the village of Ogondil, when young girls asked about the tale of the two sisters, the elders would say, one lost everything by stealing what wasn't hers. The other found everything by keeping her heart kind, even when it broke. In the end, truth was the only seed that grew into peace. The end. Did this story touch your heart? If you believe in the power of kindness, truth, and redemption, please like, share, and subscribe for more unforgettable African tales. Leave a comment below. What would you have done if you were Amara? Stay connected for the next deeply emotional story that will stir your soul and light your path.